Good morning, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Site Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I'm here with the fantastic Janine Morageau, and everyone knows her other name. And I've also got my co-host for the week, Kathy, Mrs. Handy Are You. Rachel, Right So Blonde, should be joining us in a few minutes, so she'll pop into the chat in a few minutes. But anyway, without further ado, we'll kick the show off. Okay. So, Janine, we were talking about President Trump's address, which was a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And we had a little chat about it, so we thought we'd do the show today. One of the things I noticed, we did a show with Jetson White yesterday, and he pointed something out to me, and I looked into it. But basically, on around the 15-minute mark with President Trump, he basically is talking about wars, saying that he's not taken the US into any wars when he's been president. Yep. And he actually did a perfect Trumpism, and he said, under my administration, we haven't taken anyone into wars for decades and decades. I was like, he's telling us he's been president for decades and decades.
Oh, wow.
And he just told everybody in front of the world media. And
wow.
So I've got a few thoughts on possibly what that was. I'm thinking, oh, here's Rachel. I'll just let her in. And hey, Rach, we just started. So I was thinking perhaps that JFK 1 may have been POTUS on that stand, because I'm thinking, well, who's been in charge for decades and decades behind the scenes? So I'm wondering if we can look at that with the cards and just see anything intuitively that comes up for you on that. So basically, POTUS said he's not taken anyone into any wars. And his administration haven't done that for decades. They kept people out of wars for decades and decades. It's like, well, he's only been in office for 4 years and then another 2 behind the scenes. So what was that about? And it was a deliberate Trumpism, So that's what I want to look at if we could.
Yeah. And then let's add on top of that, a lot of people were mentioning that he was the same height as Melania Trump.
Yes.
And that they're normally not. He's usually taller than her, even with her heels.
Yeah, exactly.
So some people were saying, some people were saying that might have also been interesting, and that they purposely put them together like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that was literally him, JFK. I don't think it was per se, or Junior. Both of these cards are maybe a younger version of Trump, so one of his doubles.
Okay.
But what he said. So okay, I was asking about Trump being JFK Junior, just in a mask. Let's ask. Maybe we should make a different part to that question. Like, what did he mean by that?
Yeah, what was it? What was he meaning about? He was basically saying he's been president for decades and decades and has kept the world safe by not going into wars.
Amen. Interesting. Okay. So this is really interesting. So he did that on purpose for sure. And there's a hidden meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't want to tell us.
That means you're onto something.
We're going to know about it soon enough, basically.
Okay.
We have to wait.
That's swords and ace, isn't it? That's the ace card, yeah?
Yeah. This is like waiting, and then this was in the past. So ace, so yes, there's definitely, you're on to it.
Yeah.
But somehow it's going to be explained and we have to wait.
Okay. Very cool. And should we look at the Melania part? You brought up Melania being the same height. We saw that. But actually, you know what? I wanted to point this out, Janine. So you're wearing beautiful purple. Purple is 88 Trump. Black is 29 Diana. and I've actually got these on today as well. So I got purple and black, so we're matched on that. Let's have a look at the cards. I don't know if there's anything. Is there anything with Diana with Melania? I don't know. Let's just see what the cards pull up.
I think so.
Speaking of Diana, I've been watching that latest series, The Crown, the latest versions, and it's all about Diana and Charles. And of course, it leaves out all the real activities of the royal family, which I find really interesting. You know, and leaving that part out makes them the most dull humans on the face of the earth. Do you believe that people with that much money and power lead the most boring lives? It's like, what are they really doing when they're showing them in The Crown? Just like literally always by themselves, watching television or doing something incredibly boring. Okay, are you serious? That's all that these elite peoples who've had lifetimes of, you know, being brought up in elite families and everything. That's all they got to do. Come on. Like, I can't believe they got away with putting that stupid show out there. I just watch it because I want to see what they're going to do. But with Diana, it was really interesting. She's the only one in it that seems like an actual human.
Oh.
You know what? See what the cards say on this one about Melania, Janine. But then that actress, I got something to follow on with that because that's very on point. You brought that show up.
So that's a unique Melania. I don't think it's one of three of them. So they use different Melanias, it looks like. So that was a unique one. And the real one's safe or hidden somewhere.
Okay.
And they're trying to show you something about her, or something about her was very, very telling. So I don't know what would that be? So she's
maybe
pointing something out.
So maybe the semaphore of the language of her dress, of her her attire. So it was white dress. White is 65, which is Florida. They were in Florida. It was on day 15 of November. 15 is 65, which is white. But it was at the top was black and white. So it was like dark to light. Dark to light's 125. Time travel. John Kennedy.
Yeah, because it was a strategy. Everything about her was a strategy. She was strategically placed. They had a big intel with her. Interesting. And I think they always do. I really do. I think they're always using Melania to intel.
And you said about the film, the TV series, The Crown. So Crown is 73, which is number, which is Egypt, which is children. But The Crown is 106, which is red pilling. So perhaps that show is going to be starting to red pill people. And you brought something up really interesting. So the woman that plays her name's Elizabeth Debrecki, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She's Australian. She's 6'3". She's very tall, but she's the lead actress in one of my favorite films, Tenet, the Christopher Nolan film, which I always talk about. It came out in 2020, and it's about inversion and time travel and reversing the flow of time. But she looks like she could be the older sister of Baron Trump. Baron's 6'7". She's 6'3". And the thing is, people say that Baron could be the offspring of Diana. Is there any connection between Elizabeth Debrecki and Princess Diana? It almost looks like maybe she's a hybrid alien daughter of hers.
Well, this card's a soft yes.
Okay.
There's some kind of maybe even literal bloodline here. That's but it would be on the father's side. And that's a very literal card. It's a pentacle and a male. So father and older, so male. So there could be some kind of connection through the male bloodline. But I've often got that they're hybrids for sure. I don't think they're fully just regular humans. I think they created these people, placed them in families a long time ago. They've been placed in the families. Like Trump grew up in a family that's very, very much in the cult, as far as I'm concerned. They're dark culters. I mean, I think so. And I believe he was placed there so he'd have an inside
on what's been going
understanding of what goes on. And they might not have been fully initiated, and they might not go to the rituals, but they know all the people and rub shoulders. He rubs shoulders with all of these people.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say on the father's side. So her first name's Elizabeth, but Elizabeth is 88, which is Trump, which is purple. So maybe they were signaling to that. Kathy, did you have a question in relation to what we've been going through? Or
President Trump had his jacket unbuttoned when he took the podium. So I looked up unbuttoned jacket in gematria, and it mentioned the world's a stage. Urgent message to you. Ooh. Tiffany blue dress. It made me think there was a woman in there somewhere, as President Trump, but maybe not Diana. I'm not sure. Maybe Melania was playing, but I don't know. And another thing that I noticed was, well, let's stick to that. Yeah, and President Trump said 2 times along the same line. He said, "No men," 2 times, almost like, was he saying, "I'm not a man"?
Huh.
And that equals 61, which is QAnon, but it also equals blue beam and fractal. So I thought that was odd. No men is blue beam. So I'm wondering.
Well, I often
was it a woman? Was it a?
I often get the Empress card in relation to Trump. The Empress is a divine feminine,
right?
And we sort of thought maybe it has something, but then I literally did a deep dive and to see if he was male or female, born male or female, because these elite families like to swap the gender.
Wow.
But I did get that he was born a male, but that there was a lot of feminine influence in the hybrid part.
Okay.
So the part about him that's combined with, I think, other dimensionals, I'll just say it like that. Yeah, it has a feminine essence.
Okay.
That's what I was getting. So it might not be defined the same way we define masculine and feminine.
Right.
Let's have a look. And that could have had something to do with why that woman was saying, what was she saying? That he's the first female president.
Roseanne. Yeah.
Roseanne. Yeah.
Roseanne.
I asked her about that afterwards, and she said, well, basically because Trump's kind of had to fight and for his rights, like women kind of over history. That's what she was saying, but she might have been meaning other stuff as well, but that's what she said.
Well, so how did we ask the question? Is there a feminine in there? Was there a female? Okay.
She thinks there's a female playing it.
Okay, so that's interesting. So this could be the combination because that's 2 in 1, maybe.
Oh.
And the 4. So like the combination of
interesting.
The masculine, feminine. So that's really interesting. And then we've got the 4 of Wands, which is something wanting to come out or a present. Like this is like getting to the other side of something. So I feel like we're going to get to know what they mean by that. But in the middle, we have this masculine card. So there's technically looks like a guy, or at least presenting like a male. Well, yeah, that's true. But on either side, could have had a combination energy. So another hybrid, if that wasn't technically Trump himself, that could have been another hybrid. So that's interesting. So we've got 6 and the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, I have a feeling they're withholding that. That's going to be a big surprise to everybody. And they're going to, when they feel like it's going to be well received, because this guy's really well received, they'll let that cat out of the bag. So there must be some really big, interesting intel around really who he is.
Yeah.
And what makes up Trump.
So you think he's physically a male, but there's a heavy influence of feminine energy with him?
Yeah, like through the hybrid where he's been created. Okay. I think he was created.
Yeah.
And when we did a really deep dive on him, me and John, it looked like he was literally created and placed in that family. So it sounds pretty sci-fi, but that's what we were getting.
Wow.
Hey, it's all sci-fi right now, so yeah. Rachel?
Hi, Janine.
Hi, Rachel.
I have a question about the Nancy Pelosi. He's making a lot of not so subtle remarks. So he said Nancy Pelosi's been fired and she's on her way to another country. And a lot of people that heard that thought, okay, has she been fired like a firing squad type of thing? Or is he just saying she's been fired? So I'm curious what the cards have to say about that particular comment.
Yeah, I did a look at that. I think it was on the live either Wednesday or could have been the Thursday Rumble live.
Okay.
And it looked like she was already, the real Nancy was already probably taken off the earth plane is actually what it looked like.
She
so that makes,
she looks so different every time she's on
Yeah.
screen. She's got she's got a different look about her. So I was curious about that, but
yeah, she's been dealt with for sure. So we've got that and that. She might not even be on the earth plane with that card. 7, and it was months ago.
okay.
Several months ago. I wonder if they took her to a different whole place, like dimensionally, and or I hesitate to say planet because I don't know how it works now. I'm all confused. Like, are we living on a round ball with all these other round balls? I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest. But I don't get flat either. I get like that interesting shape that's energetic.
Toroidal field.
Yeah.
Yes.
That I can never say it properly. Yeah. So this card to me now doesn't necessarily mean off world. Maybe I mean off dimensionally.
Okay.
She might, yeah, she's definitely traveled somewhere. You bet. She's long gone, and it was months ago.
Okay.
I think it was at the it could have been at the inauguration, the fake inauguration.
Okay.
But I'm not necessarily getting literally shot per se,
Okay.
but long gone anyway. And in a place where she's not enjoying herself, it's really hard there, wherever she is. So there could be prison energetic places.
Mhm. I know we didn't talk about this with Jetson yesterday, but I noticed he did the water drinking thing again, where he's deliberately taking drinks of water. So have you looked at that yet? Or
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm curious what that was all about too.
Yeah, I really noticed that 2 big gulps of water there in the first few minutes, even.
Yeah. I've been to I watch all the rallies, but I've been to a couple, and I don't think he ever has water at the rallies. I don't recall ever seeing him.
Yeah. And in a nice place like that, why wouldn't he have a glass of water?
Yeah.
It was a bottled water. I
Yep.
found that really interesting. It's such a beautiful place. Yeah, it was definite. Okay, that was a message to the deep state.
Okay.
So that was strategic message, secretive, right? So they'd understand, they'd understand it. And who to? These guys, deep state. He's sending a message.
Do you think it could be something that just popped in my head? They were talking in the Bible, it talks about attaching someone to a stone and dropping them in the water. Tom, you would know because you know a lot about the Bible, that the specific passage where it says like tie their heads to a something.
Oh, a millstone.
A millstone,
in the sea. Yeah.
Hurt the children.
Could that be what he's trying to tell them?
Cards say yes.
That
There
just
you go.
popped in my head right now. That's
You
hilarious.
definitely have something going on. So this card's like moving out of troubled waters with information, and that's a big yes. So I think you're on to at least some of what he was trying to say. You're definitely sending a message that has those kind of connotations to it. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, go on. It's all right. I was going to say, so bottle is 74 gematria. Jesus, Messiah, DeLorean, English. Barv is 21, but water 67 reset. But bottle of water is 162, which is Trumpology. And anyway, so yeah, and it's also Holy Ghost.
Wow.
And yeah, but yeah, good catch there, Rich. Yeah.
Yeah, that just literally went popped right in my head. At the very end of this speech, I talked about this yesterday, but there was this guy with white hair, and I was like, oh, he's got such white hair, it caught my eye right away. He turned to the left, and it looked like he had a big black eye on his left eye. And then you look closer, and it looked like George Soros was right there in the crowd. And I wasn't the only person who saw that, because I was on TikTok the next day and I saw another creator had said, like, who is this guy? So I know that a lot of people have this question. I'm curious, who is this guy? This George Soros looking white-haired man that looks like he has a black eye.
I don't think it was literally George Soros, but it could have been a representative of somebody representing him.
Okay.
Something about justice. Something
Okay.
about a representation of justice. So justice being served, maybe. And now we've got this, she can be very sad and depressed, especially when she's over this card here. So some kind of justice is served to that fellow, maybe.
Okay.
It's trying to talk about, and it wasn't fun justice, whoops, sometimes justice is good because you get your just desserts, whatever that is. But in this case, it's not going to make that person happy. So maybe another signal saying what happened to George Soros, maybe.
Yeah.
And I asked if it was him, and I got a soft yes. So I don't think it was technically him.
Okay.
I think it was a representation of him.
Yeah, everyone will have to go back and try to find it. You'll see this guy with bright white hair, and then when he turns to the left, you'll have to look and see if it could have been a shadow, but to me it looked like it was total black eye. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Put it on your Telegram. That is interesting.
So I asked what happened to George Soros. He's definitely not in the world anymore. He's completed his journey.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janine, I was I said 162 Holy Ghost. It's actually the Holy Ghost, or 162. But I should have. So I was in New York last week, and a couple things happened. But I was at Trump Tower briefly, and I noticed that the sign had come down. Currency exchange, that's no longer there, and that's like one of the first alphanumerical markers from the beginning of Trump's administration. Well, when he ran for office, but there's 17 flags in the lobby, just by the grill, and there's also the Space Force flag. And if you do 17 flags plus Space Force flag, it comes to 271, which comes to 1776. And I did a code just a few days before that on the plane coming in from Hawaii. Actually, it was. I think it was the day before. Anyway, I lost track of time because I was sleeping on the plane. Anyway, but it was so if you do, so this is interesting. So another place I went to there, which I was at last year, is the New Yorker Hotel. And if people see the New Yorker Hotel, the address of it is 481 on 8th Avenue. 8th Avenue is 125, dark to lights, like Melania's, her blouse, time travel 125, John Kennedy 125. But the address number is 481, so 481. But I realized this when I was on the flight going to New York. So going back to 1776, this is another value. So I said that 1776 comes to 271. This phrase, through the looking glass, comes to 271. So you've got things like Alice in Wonderland, but the looking glass that the White Hats have been using. Looking glass is 141. Mark Atwood 141, Tom Bushnell 141, Reincarnation 141. So there's an important number. It's a palindrome. It's 141. But through the looking glass is 271, which is 1776. So I was looking at the full date on that. So if you do the 4th of July, that's 210, 1776, it comes to 481, which is the address of the Tesla Hotel. And Tesla was all to do with, the other physics, time travel, etc. Even the street it's on, 8th Avenue, is 125 time travel.
Wow.
And also Trump is commander-in-chief of the American military, is 481 as well. And where I was looking at the flags, there's a marker for 45 45th president. There's other references to him being commander-in-chief right there in the lobby. He also spoke about being commander-in-chief again on Tuesday when he did the address at Mar-a-Lago. So my question is, Janine, is 1776, the 4th of July, 1776, when it became independent. That's all connected to Mount Rushmore. Rushmore is 117, which is Fifth Avenue, which is the address of Trump Tower. Was time travel used around the events of 1776? And are the founding fathers, were they all time travelers? Because founding father, I believe, is 148, which is Donald J. Trump again. So I'm wondering if all of these prominent figures, the Kennedys, Trump, the founding fathers at Mount Rushmore, are they all connected to Tesla and this whole thing of time travel?
That's a good question.
There's a few pieces to it, but that's the feeling I'm getting with it all.
Soft yeses again. More to come out on that though. So there's things they don't want everybody to know just yet. See that? So like you're on to it.
Okay.
Maybe not all of them. So it's saying not every single word you said is true, but you're on to it.
Okay.
Right? Like unless it was an ace of swords or some kind of an ace would be yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there's interesting. And this is my military card. So that's interesting. What did you say about the military again?
So 481 is so the 4th of July 1776 is 481, which is the address of the Tesla Hotel in New York. But Trump is commander-in-chief of the American military.
Yeah, I got a feeling that part wants to be known.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, that's a yes. And that feels like a big yes. But the rest of what you're saying has a lot of truth, but not necessarily word for word. And there's more to it that would explain even more, but it's not ready to be known.
Okay.
Sleeping on some of it, right? It's not quite time for us to know exactly.
Okay.
Maybe it's more than Tesla. Maybe it's because you had Tesla in there. It's just like beyond that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And maybe more details. I don't know how you feel, but I felt after that address on Tuesday, and people had different feelings about like, oh, maybe they wanted more. But then as we dive into it and notice the thing, it almost felt like we went through another portal again. And because it's as confusing, it's tricky, isn't it? It's confusing learning all about how the quantum field works and how our readings come up and then they change and shift. And so maybe hopefully, well, I think in time we will learn more about how all this is connected. But it feels like we've gone through, for me, it feels like we've gone through another portal, another jump.
I felt exactly that. So the night of the speech was literally like the dark night of the soul. And then the next morning had way more clarity. It was like sleeping on it really helped. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Wow. Because you and I spoke, didn't we, that night about it? And it was like, what's gone on? And then afterwards, the day after, I felt like, a portal. It's like we've gone through something. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys feel like time is kind of sped up too?
Yeah. Crazy. And or slowing down all at the same time.
I know.
Like it's so slow and fast. Yeah. I'm just like, something weird's going on. It's definitely not behaving or I'm not feeling it the way I used to feel it. So maybe we're going to get led in on how really time works or.
I would love to know, because I seriously, sometimes I just feel like I'm in a fog. Like I can't describe it. Like you're just like, you're someone else. I don't know. Like you're someone else looking at the world. I don't know how to even describe it. It's just weird. I'll be driving and I'm like, I'm in somebody's body and I'm seeing what's in front of me, but or maybe it's just me being aware of, I just got something in my eye. Maybe it's just us being aware of how it really works, that we're a soul having a human experience and that, we're living life through this body. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fast and slow. He said that as well. He emphasized that. He said things are going to get real quick. He said time will get real quick.
Yeah. It feels like it.
But also slow. I can't remember. I can't remember. That's a slip, but I can't. I feel like I've been here for years and years, but I haven't. But it's gone quick as well. But also it hasn't, and it's just strange. Yeah, it's strange. I've got one question actually, Janine. So there's a bunch of scriptural characters. So another month, a few weeks ago, I asked you the question about how many Trumps there are, and I've been thinking for a while. There's at least two. We did a reading maybe a year and a half ago together, where you came up with maybe there was 4-3, and then we clarified that recently, and you said you get that there's 3 trumps.
Yeah.
I looked at that, and there's a scriptural set of characters called the 3 Nephites, and they're supposedly immortal. They asked that they could tarry on the earth to help this great awakening come in. But I did the numbers on this. The 3 Nephites come to 185 Donald John Trump. And I just wanted to simply ask, are the 3 Nephites the 3 Trumps, the 3 Donalds?
It is interesting because when you see him, even the various doubles of him,
You can
he's looking incredibly healthy these days. Like,
yeah.
vibrant and glowing, and they're putting this real golden sheen on him, which I think they're going to announce the gold standard.
Yeah.
I always get that that's a huge part of his mission, is to leave the world and humans, generally speaking, in better shape financially because of everything that's been done to us. And I never get it technically, literally, Jasara Nasara, like so many people talk about. I don't say it won't be something like that, but there's a version of it they've created, is what I get.
Yeah. And he spoke of the golden age, didn't he? Right at the beginning.
Yeah, he did. He totally did.
Goldwyn's 57 Tesla 57 human. Yeah.
9 and 7. So how did you ask something about?
I just wanted to ask, are the 3 Nephite characters, they the 3 Donald Trumps, the three Donalds that we talk of?
Huh. This is a funny, the universe is messing with us today. It's saying that that's a secret, not ready to be revealed.
That means they're right, don't you think? Yeah.
Queen of Cups, interesting, but it's a well-aspected Queen of Cups. So they're willing to reveal that one of the Trumps could actually be a female. Oh, that's interesting. So that's what you're picking up.
Yeah.
There's a female in there for sure. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, but there are 3 of them.
Yeah.
But it's not quite willing to talk about that. So that's a secret.
Wow. Well, that's so interesting, because part of the prophecy with that is that they wouldn't be known who they are. It's that they would be allowed to tarry on the earth as immortals to help bring this reawakening in when Christ literally comes, or the Christ consciousness, bearing in mind that Trump's father's middle name was Christ. So that tallies up.
Okay, I just got to download Why the Secrets.
Okay.
Because I was like, why don't we get to, okay. The secrets are around because they don't want the truther community and people talking about this stuff to look so out there that we're unapproachable and we're crazy. So they want to keep it, rein it in. And I got that from Juan O'Savan too. When we had that meeting with Juan, he was trying to get everybody on track and to agree to be more, let's just focus on the election. Let's get everybody's eyes on he was really reining us in and making us be 3D. We were all like spaceships and blah, blah. And we're seeing all of these.
No woo-woo.
And he even said, is anybody seeing more spaceships and activity? And like, why would he ask that? Obviously we had been, everybody was. And it's like, all of that's true, but they want this movement to be believable, at least at the beginning, even to normies, because a bunch of people are going to be moving over here real soon, and we're going to need to support them. But if we're too out there, they'll just be lost somewhere because they won't be able to relate to us at all. That's what I think. So we can talk about stuff like this, but I think generally speaking, they're not going to divulge everything just yet, because people have to do it in degrees.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just as you said, literally 107, he popped into my head. I was like, because I know, he's like, I'll go into stuff, and then he's like, no,
he reins you over there. He has a job. He's trying to hurdle all the truthers. He's like our uncle or something, and he's trying to get us round us up. It's like rounding up cats, and he's trying to get us on a certain page so we're more believable, because they want to use the movement for people when they first wake up. And everybody's about to, like, it can't be stopped. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
They won't have a choice. It's where everybody's bumping into it. It's too real. And the sleepers can't sleep too much longer.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That makes a lot of sense. Because he says no, he says it's not woo-woo. And then he'll code stuff immediately and answer it. The question I've asked him, but he'll do it. I'm like, okay, I've got it.
It's woo-woo.
But hold your horses. Yeah. Hold your horses, young Tom. Yeah. That's brilliant. Thanks, Janine. Kathy.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
Kathy.
go on, Rach. What are you going to say?
Go ahead, hon.
No, go, Kathy. You haven't said much. Go. You speak.
On your marks, get set, go.
Yeah, go.
And speaking of this, Janine, I feel the same way talking to you for the first time as you did when you talked to Mark Atwood, by the way. So, you know how you felt when you talked to Mark Atwood, Janine? Oh, she was.
You mean I was in awe?
Excited and giddy.
Like,
yeah, it was awesome.
That's how I feel. And I'm really trying to rein it in, so bear with me. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. I have so many questions, but okay. So this is off, not a one kind of topic, but
okay.
I tried this. I tried in gematria. Melania is Jacqueline and Diana. Okay. It came up to the best is yet to come. One of President Trump's phrases he says all the time.
Yeah.
And bigger than you can imagine matched it. And then we're in this together. Like there's two people possibly playing Melania. I'm wondering if Jacqueline and Diana take turns playing Melania.
Oh, that's wild.
Interesting question.
I know. I know. That's the way I am.
228 is also United States of America.
Right.
As
it's
well.
228. I forgot to say that.
The best is yet to come. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. That looks like that might be a strategy.
Really?
Again, secretive. So they
Secret,
don't really
that's
want
fine.
everybody to know that, but I feel like you're onto a strategy there. And here we have, and the reason they don't want everybody to know that is because the bad guys, it's a dangerous thing. They can't know everything right now.
Oh.
So maybe they want to protect them.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a funny thing about Jackie Kennedy that I think will end up coming up as a topic. Well, President Trump keeps referring to shoes. He said when the FBI came in and raided at Mar-a-Lago, they even went into Melania's closet and looked at her shoes. And he brought that up, and he's brought up shoes before. And I was just reading, a bit ago, and again today, that Jackie had one shoe, a quarter inch added to one shoe of all her pairs of shoes. So it's almost like he's referring us to Jackie, that there's something funny about her shoes or through Melania, you know. So.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
You're on to it. Yeah.
I'm so happy. Thank you.
Wow. That's wild. So, I'm just going to go black for a minute here. Okay, I got a situation going on with my family. My brother is passing.
Oh, right. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. My community all knows about it. Tom knows about it. And they've been trying to phone me, and that's what keeps interrupting my side. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I just have to find out what they want.
Okay.
So
No problem.
let me just, I don't know how to stop video there.
Tom, how many more days are you going to be here?
Tomorrow I go. So that's it. But I started at yours in the summer at the pool, and now
We had snow flurries last night.
But the sun's still shining.
Yeah.
It's like I've escaped the snow so far. When I left Utah, it was glorious sunshine, but the day I left, it was raining. overcast, cloudy, and they had a snowstorm later that day.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I might be back again soon in January, so we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
We'll see. That's my go-to. We'll see. See. We'll see what happens because we just don't know.
That made a lot of sense though, what Janine said about with Juan, because we know it. We know when we do shows with him, it's like, come on. And then it's like, no, woo.
I know. And it is important that we remember where we were when we did wake up, because
exactly
we were afforded the opportunity to wake up slowly and understand things. And so we have to understand, the whole process has been years for us, but some of these people are just going to be waking up. So we're going to have to,
it's been 5 years for me.
Yeah, it's been 2.5 for me. And I'm glad I didn't wake up before that, because if I would, some people are like, oh, I woke up in 2001. I'm like, how did you not go crazy for the last 20 years knowing all this stuff? I think the timing is perfect for when we wake up for each person individually.
I think it's probably right for each person whenever it happens, that's just the way it has to be.
It's
for whatever reason.
It's more palatable if you wake up slowly in the morning as opposed to being jolted.
Yes.
Although the alarm, the alarm, I think lockdown 2020 was a global alarm. I think it was one of the Trump's. That alarm is 45, President Trump. And I always knew things like, you go to 2001. I always knew that stuff about the events in New York, wasn't the case. So I've always been in a process of being awake, but I was definitely upgraded and activated as soon as Corona came in. And then that's when the numbers came. I had a taste of it in 2015 with my cousin, and when I met Ivanka and those girls in New York. But then I didn't know it was alphanumeric, and I got the PhD still well counting on my fingers, So we get activated, and it's great what Janine said about loads of people coming over. That'd be great.
It's exciting. That's exciting.
It'd be nice if the 3.5 is the ones that into Tucker Carlson and such, into facts and figures and evidence. If they can advance and jump up, which I think they probably have to. I'd hope they would be some of the next wave, but we'll see. But that'd be cool, because there'll be a lot of people on that side. So let's see. It can't be stopped now. So
no, it can't be stopped.
Did you have a question?
Kathy,
Rachel?
you have another question?
You have another question? Go on.
Sorry. I have another topic about, he supposedly, he passed away in World War II, and it was Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. And his name is 316. So he was a brother of President Kennedy. So his name is 316. It equals one of the catchphrases that we're using lately, which is what I think you just said: nothing can stop what is coming. So what I'm thinking is, the way I've been decoding and hearing things, and I also get it through stories and TV. I get it through all kinds of decoding methods, which I know is odd, but that's what's happening. And I think that President Kennedy and Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. weren't 2 years apart, that they were born twins. And I have a way of figuring it out with the times and all that. But that's the first question about that.
Are they twins?
Are they twins? So President Kennedy and the one that passed in World War II, Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. I don't have a picture of him, but
that's JFK.
Yeah, handsome.
Yeah. So once again, this is a safety card, a position of safety.
Okay.
And this was in the middle. For reasons of safety, not going to answer that. So the universe is working with Q, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're not going to talk. You know what?
Yeah,
I think we've uncovered so much that we've bumped into.
Yeah.
Stuff they're not ready to talk about just yet. And it's been happening a lot lately, because you guys are so you guys, people are waking up, and there's this whole group of people, especially with gematria, I find, astrology, all these other tools we're using.
Tarot.
And they're starting to work, and they're getting it right. And it's so they're trying to hush us up. Like, for instance, Juan 07, when he was in his little talk, he didn't even once look at me or engage me, but I could feel that he purposely wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's not dealing with tarot card readers. He's not, and he's even downplayed at tarot. I think we're a little too on to stuff that's beyond what they're ready to. I think they don't think the regular populations, they don't want to look a certain way in the eyes of the regular folks that are about to, like I said, wake up.
Yeah.
And they need those people. And
Yeah.
that's even why the speech was really like a gut punch to real awake people.
Yeah.
In a way, if you weren't like, if you had to, it was deeply coded, obviously, and people are decoding it, and it's brilliant, but it was so deep that just it was not for us. It was for the regular folks.
yeah, I can't rein it in. I don't think you can either, right?
No. That's why I got the toss off. I got lots of spiritual heads up that I was going to get kicked off YouTube, and they did it in a time. I believe it's the White Hats that kicked me off, and they did it in a time when I could easily transition in my work, because I made it my full work, and that was my entire income. And they made it so I didn't suffer. And they waited till then. I tell you that if that was the bad guys doing it, they'd have cut me off when I couldn't recover. But it wasn't like that. So I know it was.
Yeah.
And I was given symbols. The way I get sent symbols is through animals.
Yeah.
A coyote attacked my black cat, which is my
Your little
intuition.
Betty.
And I've figured that out. It was like, this is not personal. It's a coyote. They're tricksters.
Yeah.
I didn't take it personally, and I just carried on, and good things are happening. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think that we just have to tread carefully. And
Yeah.
Really quick, Kathy,
YouTube
before
is-
you ask the next, sorry, Kathy,
No, go
before you
on.
ask the next question, 316, nothing can stop what is coming is not just politics as usual, which is on the cover of every George magazine.
Oh, it's on all my
Yeah.
sweatshirts too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
George
I thought that was
sweatshirts.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
You said about YouTube, Janine, and both you and I have thought that for a long time, that white hats are in control of it. And I think white hats are in control of everything. That's my personal
Me
feel.
too.
But YouTube, when you spell it, is 109, which is the word 17.
Yeah.
And it's Cycle of my channel, it's Dinah Spencer, it's Zapruder. So all of those things are connected. But you took going back to Juan. So we did a show with Juan just the day before, so on Monday. And he was going down to Mar-a-Lago, and there was a few guests invited, and he was there. I think that's okay for me to say now, because people know that. But so there's a picture of him fairly close to the front, maybe 2 or 3 rows back, and there's a picture of him taking a photo of President Trump and Melania. Eric's over to maybe a few seats over, but it looks like Juan because he's got Juan's ring. And I said, Juan gave me a kind of Juanism. He was talking on the phone on a plane, so I couldn't hear everything. And I said, "Was that you at the front?" And I said, "Look at the picture of the ring." And he's like, "I can't see the ring." And then he zooms in and can see it. And I said, "Well, it's on a different finger. It's gone from your pinky to your I guess your ring finger on your right hand." And he went, "Oh, they've moved it." But then basically we finished the conversation because the transmission wasn't very good. So my question is, was that Juan in that photo, or was that ring put on another person? The hand looked a bit younger, in my thoughts, from the photo. It looked maybe a bit younger than the Juan that we know with his hand. So was that Juan, or was that someone else that took the picture? And he might not like me asking it, but
It wouldn't fit because it was so tight on his pinky. It wouldn't fit on his.
that
Right.
was the Juan that's closest to Trump.
okay.
So there's a Juan that's really close, and then there's I get 2 of them that they've trained to be the brand of Juan.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that go around to these functions and stay up till 5 a.m. and sign books. And I don't know how they got the energy to do that. Maybe they're hybrids too or something. I'm telling you, like we watched him, he barely got to touch his dinner because he was talking. He's just a fountain of information. Yeah. And then had to go on to another talk.
Yeah.
Right. Which I know he did because it was in the courtyard of the hotel we were at.
Yeah.
Then he would, that's after he'd spent till 5 a.m. signing books. Then he had a few hours sleep. Then he was back having breakfast with us, talked to us, and he had unbelievable amounts of energy to keep talking and barely eating. And this is a guy with a big supposed pot belly, so he likes his food. Okay, that how can he sustain that kind of belly when he has no time to eat? The guy has no time. I'm watching him. I was watching him like a hawk.
Like
and that's one of my totem
like
animals.
A raven. Yeah.
I am a hawk and I'm a raven and I'm a crow. And we're like beady eyes. I got the beady eyes of a crow. I don't miss a trick. That I was watching him like a hawk. That wasn't the original Juan, but he's one of the team. They're a team and they do these things and they got them all trained. But anyway, that was a different Juan.
Okay.
And it's one that's closer to Trump. Like this guy would be like sitting in on Trump's meetings and stuff. Yeah.
He said as well. So while I've been out here in the States, I'm sure it was or maybe it was prior to coming, but it was on a show me and Rachel did with him. And he was talking about Mark Zuckerberg and he was talking about shared identity. Basically, he was saying there was at least 16 people that were playing Zuckerberg, meaning actors. And I kind of said, well, is that something like CGI? And he kind of stuck on the thing of actors. So then Mars and I basically said, conclude. Yeah, there you go. And I concluded and said, well, so that means that good guys are also doing that. And he went, yep. And that's it. And when you get from him, that means, you hit it. And then we carried on. So he was telling us the shared identity. I was like, okay, I got that. So yeah. Rachel, Kathy.
Rachel, go ahead.
I was going to ask about the buses at the White House. I think it was the day after Trump's speech. Nancy Drew, who is a reporter, she's a citizen journalist that reports from the DC area. And she said there were these white buses outside of the White House, I believe. And a lot of people online were speculating that this was for the corrupt members of Congress, Senate, So I was curious and they were very secretive about these buses too. So they could have been nothing, or they could have been what she was kind of speculating. She was watching them very closely, but curious what the cards say about those white buses.
And it too, Nancy Drew.
So white bus is 107 Trump's Quantum, and white buses is 131 John F. Kennedy. Anyway.
Wow. Yeah. What was she saying they were?
She thought they were buses to take away the people that, didn't capitulate or, surrender.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's justice. So they were tied to the justice system of some kind. That could be a military justice or I don't know what justice system we're talking about. Now we've got the 7 of Pentacles. So it's something we're going to find out about later, but it's not time to know all about it just yet. And we've got, but the people in charge of the bus, even though it's going to be, you won't find this out. Like it'll be hard to get confirmation on this, but they're the white hats. So Trump and the white hats, but they're going to keep it on the down low.
Trump and the white hats.
Well, can you guys just imagine the day? I just picture it all the time when we're going to find out. I mean, we're going to have full disclosure. We already kind of know what's going on, but just to have the actual 3D full disclosure when people see what's happening.
Yeah. One of the only, I'm just going to say a real sort of personal take on this, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that always keeps me going. So I've been reading tarot for 35 years as a career. And then I got doing it on YouTube. So that's another, 4 years now. Now I'm off YouTube now, but reading in the public, as a public event reader now. Okay. But for years and years, I read just for people, individuals, and had a huge clientele. And I honestly, a lot of things, I would read a lot of weird things about people that seemed ludicrous, actually. When you'd look at them and then you'd read what was going on, it was totally different than what appeared. Like, so I'm used to stuff like that, right? I'm used to, this makes no sense, but I'm going to say it anyway. And I did that for years. And sometimes 4 years later, they'd come and say, oh my goodness, I thought you were insane when you first read me, but everything you said came true. And like,
Wow.
I've had so much experience with that. I'm not saying I'm good or anything. I'm just saying, if you look at how many years I read, I had a lot of comments like that. Sometimes you're getting stuff that makes no apparent sense. And that's why I believe what we're getting is true, because my cards have never failed me. They really don't. And it seems absurd sometimes what you're saying, but you have to trust it, because me trusting what I was getting was what helped my clients. And years later, sometimes they'd come and say, oh my goodness. Right. So we have to stay steady to the course in the, because I've watched things like this unfold my whole life, and it's real, and something's going on, and we're getting it. And it's going to be wild when everybody else finds out what we know. But
yeah.
And you're coming to the UK in April, aren't you, Janine? Is that right?
I would like to. That's the idea. Oh, is that the Mark Atwood thing that he wants to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
I said I'd do it. So yes, I'm going to do it. You know what? A Taurus always does what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
If I said I was doing it, I'm doing it.
You and Janine are coming to that. And I was like, okay, brilliant. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. It's just that I got a lot on the plate here this week. So my mind's a little like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Janine, I wanted to know if we're going, now it's back at the Kennedys again, but I'm telling you, I get this all the time in one way or another through a story or TV or something. Are we going to see any of the Kennedys, or is that not specific enough? Is saying it that way incorrect, or do I have to be more specific?
Are we going to see them when? Like in the public?
Okay. Will we see, I was going to say any of the Kennedys in a fireside chat situation, and will Diana or Jackie or both have a veil on their face? I know it's really weird, but I get that a lot. And I think that's part of in the Bible where it's lifting the veil, which sounds off the wall, but I think it's a double reference.
Ace.
So that's it, yes. But a bunch of stuff has to happen first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So military steps out and divulges. So that could be even the EBS, because telling a lot of really hard things to hear, going to be hard for people to hear. So I think that'll come after.
So even the veil, is that part of it?
When you said the veil is when I pulled this.
It was.
I think your vision is accurate.
Yeah. So something to do with the veil as well. So if you go to Mar-a-Lago, Charlie was there. He got a picture. I got the same picture last year in President Trump's library bar, where he has a lot of his interviews. There's this famous picture of him looks like he's wearing a yachting jumper or a cricket jumper. Looks like one of the Doctor Who's actually from years ago.
We call it a sweater.
A sweater, yeah. A sweater, a pullover. But anyway, so that painting is called The Visionary. And The Visionary comes to 165 Resurrection. It comes to remote viewing. It comes to resurrection. But then below the title, it says The Visionary, and it says Donald J. Trump, which is 148, which is simple gematria, which is time traveler, Emmett Brown from Back to the Future, the time traveler. But if you add them together, it comes to 310, which comes to lift the veil from your eyes. But that also comes to, and I just discovered this one yesterday, and me and Kathy haven't talked about it. If you do John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., that also comes to 313, which is lift the veil from your eyes. Oh. Which is kind of what you've been asking about, Jackie, his wife.
Right.
And Jackie Kennedy is 117 Rushmore and Fifth Avenue.
Wow. I have too many questions. Somebody else should go.
Can we ask that, Janine? Okay. Is that painting, does it have representation to John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., that lift the veil from your eyes, the visionary Donald J. Trump? Kennedy used to have pictures of him sailing a lot, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. When they were quite young, too.
Okay, soft yes.
Okay.
Hanged man, more to it, will become enlightened
Okay.
after the hardship. So this guy puts himself in a difficult position, but becomes enlightened through the hardship
Okay.
of, like, for instance, that yoga position he's upside down in, right? But
Yeah.
becomes enlightened. So I feel like we'll become enlightened about more, there's more to it, and we'll become enlightened on it after the hard part, which is, I think, coming right up.
Okay. Okay.
So Janine, did President Kennedy leave I call it the Lincoln limo, because the limo was the brand Lincoln. Did President Kennedy get out of the Lincoln limo when he was in Dallas on 11/22/63? And I have a second part, but go ahead.
Did he get out of the limo? Like before the situation?
Mhm.
I wonder if it was an illusion that he was even traveling in it.
Mhm.
So smoke and mirrors traveling. The whole him in it could have been smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
I wonder if it was an illusion that he was even in it.
Yeah, the second part is where there are mannequins under the rear seat. And I've gotten this from bits of stories, not from the Kennedys. Mannequins or automatons, I don't know quite, how to put it. They were kind of robotic.
Interesting. I'm getting yes on that, but there's a creative energy to it. I think there was at least one mannequin.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking it was probably President Kennedy, but I'm not sure.
Well, it was a male.
Okay.
Looking at that card. So that looks like a yes. And the world. So I guess that was the dead version of him. Excuse the term if that's offensive to people, but
okay.
He's off the word. So I said, why would they do that? Because they wanted him to appear a certain way. I mean, don't forget what happened with what was that guy's name? Phil.
The film.
What was that guy's name? That was the black fellow that was supposedly
Martin Luther King.
No, stepped on by. It turned out it was his friend, and they were both
George
enacting
Floyd.
George Floyd. I think some of the footage they swapped him up for, and even the way they were carrying him at the end looked like it could have been a dummy, even. Yeah, because these guys were in film school together. Both the people playing the parts of the supposed. So the guy wasn't really a police officer at all. And there's so much evidence. They just don't. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it was all fake.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah, so they can do stuff like that is what I'm getting at. So it looks like you're onto it. And I feel like we're going to be the new news, you guys. We're going to be the new news at the other side of this when everybody else knows, right? Where people like us are going to be the news. It's going to be wild.
We are the news now.
Yeah.
That's a good question about the news, because that's still a huge problem. Once we can rein in the mainstream media, then we can start the real disclosure. So I've been racking my brains trying to figure out how this is going to look once the mainstream media gets taken down. How is this going to happen? Are we going to start being newscasters, or are they just going to completely get rid of the news and it's going to be like citizen journalists and that's basically it? Just curious if there's any insight into how it's going to play out.
I looked at that a long time ago, and it always looked like it would just all of a sudden they'd start telling the real news because they didn't have a choice. They got a new boss. Well, I think they've already been infiltrated, frankly. It's all a facade right now anyway. I think they're already operated by the good guys. It's all a facade. They just appear, they're using them. They're using them because they want to point to them and show you how, because this was in the past, so it's already been usurped by the good guys, I guess, if that's, I don't know, sometimes they say words that don't make sense, but it's already been taken over by the good guys. Okay, but this is what appears. So this is in the atmosphere. It's a facade. These guys are in charge. So this is often the card I get around Trump, by the way. Weird, interesting. So maybe literally it's being managed by a feminine energy. I'm not sure what I mean by why that Empress is coming up. But this card in the middle says they want to blame stuff on these guys. So they're still using them as if they're the bad guys. So they're going to point to them and have them do something and go down in the public eye is what I think.
Yeah.
And just think about it. Look at what they did even with, so Trump makes that big announcement, but he says days ahead, he's going to make a big announcement.
Yeah.
And his announcement, apparently he wrote, there was 4 of them that he could have said, 4 speeches. And that's interesting because I got 4. I said, there's 4 versions of this, depending on what happens in the day. Okay. So he was probably waiting and they were, so some of the people in the mainstream haven't got the memo that they're actual being run by the white hats now. And so they've left these people in place that are minions of the deep state or just followers that do whatever they're told. They've left them in place because they're going to, it's a sting operation on the mainstream media. So we watch and it's obvious what happened in that election, that fake election, by the way, that was all fake. I don't think it'll stand, but anyway, it's obvious what happened, but they didn't say anything until they were forced. Their hand was forced by Trump announcing it first. We heard from Trump first that they got the House. Everybody knew they were going to get the House. Yeah. Trump announced it and then they had to say something. Okay. So all of that makes them look really bad. Yeah. Right. We already know, people like us, we already know how bad they are, but this is going to be easier to point